Okay. So, good afternoon, everyone. Today, we are going to discuss some of the waste management strategies. Right, we are going to look into the country Singapore, where how they are managing the waste material. We know that the waste is a major problem for us right now. It is increasing the pollution everywhere. It's not about in India; it's in all the countries. So, what we have to do is we have to manage the waste. The basic strategy is 3R policy, right? Reduce, reuse, and recycle. So here we are going to see one waste management video that is done in Singapore. After this, I'm going to give you one Google form, right, where you are going to fill some of the question that's asked over there, right? This is your ISA activity, right? So I'm sharing the video. Please have a look at the video.
The world generates more than 2 billion tons of trash. That's enough to fill over 800,000 Olympic-sized swimming pools.
About a third of the world's waste is being openly dumped or burned. This is a challenge we've seen over and over, where users are unable to pay for use of the system, or there's an affordability gap.
And by the year 2050, the amount of rubbish generated annually is expected to increase to 3.4 billion tons. As the rubbish piles up, no number of landfills and recycling programs can keep pace with this growing problem. So what's the solution?
The waste management process comprises the collection, treatment, and disposal of waste. Solid waste can come from several sources, mainly from residential and commercial properties and industrial facilities such as medical, electronic, and construction waste.
With COVID, overall, we've seen medical waste decrease about 40%. It's often the poor that are the most affected by lack of waste management services, whether it's because they're not receiving waste management services due to where they're living, or waste is being dumped by the communities.
Even as medical waste piles up, is a tiny fraction of municipal solid waste. Of the 2 billion tons of waste generated globally, 12% is plastic waste, but it's dwarfed by food and organic matter and paper and cardboard scraps. Once all that trash is collected, there are three main ways it is treated and disposed of: by burning the trash in an incinerator, using a landfill, or dumping it openly without any processing whatsoever. While 33% of global waste end up directly at open dumps, governments are increasingly recognizing that these sites are bad for the environment and can be vectors for diseases. Instead, they are opting for more sustainable ways to manage their waste, such as incinerators and recycling programs. Nowhere is this more pronounced than in densely populated Singapore, which has nearly 8,000 people per square kilometer, more than 17 times that of India and 200 times that of the US. Between 1970 and 2016, the amount of solid waste disposed in Singapore increased about sevenfold as its population and economy grew. Of the 7 million tons of waste generated in the country in 2019, more than half were recycled.
The journey of a single piece of trash brings us to Tuas South Incineration Plant, the largest waste incineration facility in Singapore to date.
Kan Kok Wah is the general manager of the plant, one of 4 such facilities in the country which can convert waste into energy.
Waste are collected from the industrial, commercial premises and household premises. An average of about 600 trucks are coming to Tuas South Incineration Plant. They will discharge the waste into the bunker. Cranes will then grab and feed the waste into the incinerator. The temperature in the furnace is about 850 to 1000 degrees. It will achieve a 90% reduction in terms of volume. This will then help to conserve the space required for landfill. Singapore is a very small country, it's land scarce, so the need to conserve land is very critical for Singapore. Along the way, we have magnetic separator. Ferrous and non-ferrous metal will be recovered from the ash. Ash will then be transported from the ash pit to another facility.
Pollutants produced during incineration are treated before being released into the atmosphere, ensuring clean air is being discharged.
Water will be converted into steam from the energy recovered from the combustion of waste. This water will be then converted into high temperature, high pressure steam to run turbine generators. This is to produce electricity power. 20% is being consumed internally, with the rest being exported to the national grid.
The total power generated by the 4 waste-to-energy incineration plants in Singapore, including Tuas South, contributes about 2 to 3% to the national electricity demand in the country. An upcoming waste-to-energy plant built by Mitsubishi Heavy Industries and water treatment company Hyflux will be able to incinerate 3,600 tons of waste per day while generating electricity to be self-sufficient and providing excess power to the national grid.
How much waste is collected and managed in TSIP?
In 2019, about 1.08 million tons of waste is collected. That is equivalent to about 3,000 tons of waste daily.
After the incineration process, my journey takes me on a ferry to the country's only landfill located along the Singapore Strait, one of the busiest waterways in the world.
Semakau Landfill is an offshore landfill enclosed by a 4.3-mile perimeter rock embankment, which creates a sea space to fill with incinerated rubbish. In operation since 1999 and costing nearly $500 million, the island is more than just a landfill.
Introducing Speechalo, the most natural sounding text-to-speech software on the market. Hey, I'm Joey, and I'm one of the 30 AI voices from Speechalo. You listen to this video.
Actually, we are made up of 2 big islands called the Pulau Semakau and Pulau Sake, and these are 2 joined together into what you see here, a 350 hectares Pulau Semakau landfill.
A barge ferries more than 2,000 tons of waste between mainland Singapore and Semakau landfill daily, says Desmond Lee, general manager of the landfill.
We have big equipment such as the dump truck, excavators, etc. These are equipments that we use daily, and you can hear we have also the...
What's going on there?
Yeah. This barge actually comes from the Tuas Marine Transfer Station. From Tuas, travel a 33 kilometers journey all the way here.
Tell me about how the ash is going to get transferred out.
There is what you call the long arm excavator. This excavator will grab the ash and as well as the non-incinerable waste up and drop into what we call the dump truck.
The trucks will then unload the ash into specific cells within the lagoon. To prevent leaks and contamination of the seawater outside the rock buns, the perimeter is lined with impermeable membrane and a layer of marine clay. As the water level within the lagoon increases with rainfall and the dumping of the ash, the overflow is discharged into the open sea after being treated at a wastewater treatment plant.
If you travel around in Semakau, you will see there are a lot of mangroves around, and there are also beautiful corals. This is a testimony to the absence of adverse impact from our operation in landfill. We also want to ensure the marine life and nature in this area continue to thrive.
How filled is Semakau landfill right now?
Based on the current waste generation, Semakau landfill will be completely filled by 2035. However, there are current plans to work together with the different government agencies, businesses, as well as communities to look into how we can extend the life of Semakau landfill.
What lessons can we learn from Singapore's other previous landfills?
One key lesson that we learned is that it takes a long time to remediate the landfill, and then there's also resources need to be committed to them before the land can be remediated for other uses. The other strategy we are also taking is looking at the possibilities of recycling the incineration bottom ash, which is now known as new sand, and could be used for non-structural concrete, for example.
To date, new sand has been used to create footpaths and benches, while tests are ongoing for its application in road construction projects. Landfills are a short-term solution to a long-term problem. In land-scarce Singapore, which is slightly smaller than New York City, space is a luxury, and it's a matter of time before Semakau landfill is full. Singapore aims to reduce the waste going into Semakau landfill by 30% by 2030 as part of its zero waste master plan. The country also intends to develop new waste management facilities to meet the treatment needs of wastewater, sludge, and even food waste, ultimately improving the recycling rate in Singapore.
You created a business. Now, create videos for your business.
Despite the high rates of recycling among developed nations, high-income countries, which account for 16% of the world's population, generate 34% of global waste. Conversely, about 5% of the world's waste come from low-income countries, even though they make up 9% of the world's population. Notably, the US, Canada, and Bermuda, all high-income countries in North America, generate one of the highest average amount of waste per capita. However, the trend is expected to reverse in the next few decades as low-income countries experience economic growth and a population boom.
For over 2 decades, China was the dumping ground for nearly half of the world's scrap, with much of it originating from developed countries such as the US, UK, and Australia. All that changed in 2018 when China imposed a blanket ban on 24 types of imported waste, citing the need to protect its environment and public health.
The magnitude of the problem was laid bare when other countries in Southeast Asia also started rejecting plastic waste from the rich industrialized countries. In 2019, the Philippines sent back containers of waste to Canada and South Korea, while waste from Spain and Australia that was sent to Malaysia was similarly rejected.
Waste management is very expensive, and it should not be looked at as being an economic activity to generate revenue, but as a public service that requires financing. Not just financing that is affordable for the population and for the country as such, but also in terms of legislative environment and regulation and monitoring and enforcement. All of these pieces of the puzzle should be in place, because at the end of the day, as we have seen many times, there is always an easy way out, and that is to pollute the environment. It takes years and concerted effort to switch the way we as society behave so that we increase the recyclability of our waste.
More companies are also applying environmental, social, and corporate governance standards to their operations. While this is the latest trend in town, it remains to be seen if businesses can be both ethical and profitable, benefiting stakeholders, society, and the planet.
Citizens are key to changing the waste management system moving forward. So whether it's the day-to-day behavior of reducing waste, being willing to be educated and participate in recycling and recovery, be willing to pay for the services so that the city can offer more management of waste in a proper way.
Each person generates nearly 2 pounds of trash daily, so changing the throwaway culture will have a direct impact on how the world looks like for future generations. The journey to reduce, reuse, and recycle then begins with us. Hey, thanks for watching, everyone. Waste, trash, rubbish, how does your country deal with it? Tell us in the comments. In the meantime, don't forget to subscribe and stay safe.
So we clearly saw in this video how we all together, the society, all the citizens, we can help to manage.
So I've got my essay written, and I've been working on it for about a week. So now I'm going to show you how I use.
How we can manage the waste properly, how we can counter up the emerging problem. So what value we all have to inculcate inside in us is that we are not going to consider waste as only waste, right? Don't consider waste as waste. It might be a source of, energy. It might be a source of, or it can be a scope of giving employment to many other individuals, right? If you talk about all these industries that we are setting up, to manage the waste, here what we are basically doing is we are giving employment to other individuals as well, right? So what is important right now is to follow 3R policy. Whenever you have any waste material, try to reduce, reuse and recycle it maximum time to decrease the production of waste that we are doing in our day to day life. So after this, I'm giving you one Google form, right? I would request all of you to fill that Google form. I'm sharing the link of that Google form with all of you. Give me a moment. There are certain fields in the Google form which are compulsory for all of you to fill, right? Your name, your class, and there are few questions that all of you have to attempt. You are free to write down your views in those questions, right? Screen is visible to everyone.
No, ma'am.
I'm sharing the screen. Okay. So this is your Google form, right? I'm giving you the link for the Google form. Kindly fill this Google form. In this, your name and your class, this is important, and there are few questions, objective and subjective, that you all have to fill, right? Start filling the Google form. Abhishek, kindly summarize what we saw in the video.
Ma'am, this video was a case study regarding the 12th goal of SDGs, that is responsible consumption, and ma'am, how we have to and how we have to manage the waste that is produced in our countries. And this video was a case study on how the waste is managed in Singapore. So in this video we were presented with facts on how this is managed there. The waste there is sent to some plants where the waste is burned. First of all, it is heated at a certain temperature, that is 800 degrees Celsius to 1000 degrees Celsius. Then it is converted into ashes, from where ferrous and non-ferrous things are taken out so that they can be used later on in producing further things. And then the rest of it that is powdered, it is sent to landfills where it is dumped inside water bodies. And if and it is predicted that this Kamau landfill, it is named as Kamau landfill, so it will be get filled till 2035. So they are planning to increase its capacity, or they are even partnering with
Actually, they
other
are they
private
are
companies.
planning to reduce the dependency on the landfill because the area is
Ma'am,
small, so they cannot go with excess amount of filling the waste in the landfills. So
yes,
I
ma'am,
think
but ma'am, it was even stated that they are also partnering with some
yes.
private companies to increase its capacity.
Yes. So
Okay, ma'am.
now they are also focusing on other strategies by which they can reduce their dependency on landfills also, right? So I think you all have filled your form as well, and we have seen the video as well, and we all have inculcated the value that we are not going to simply consider waste as waste. We are going to follow the 3R policy, and we are going to manage the waste production in our country.